Welcome to Trading Lounge and the US indices for Saturday, December the 3rd, but this video is really for Monday, December the 5th, and as I'm flying to Perth to see my mother, I won't be doing videos on Tuesday or Wednesday. So I want to start with the US dollar because this is the market that's making me feel bullish on the SP 500. Now with the SP 500, obviously there's sectors, there's weak sectors and there's strong sectors, and we're going to have a look at those two today. So with the US dollar index here, as you know, we've been tracking it down as an A wave and a WXY for a B wave, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then 1 and 2 and working down here. Now we may need to expand this down here further in terms of putting wave 1 over here and wave 2 over here, and then bringing wave B back over here, and we may eventually even be putting a wave 1 over here as well. So, but it'll just be one step at a time as I can validate a certain wave count. So in this particular move down through here, we've been working that on the intraday 2K tick chart here. So from the top area here, we've been counting down as 1 and 2, and counting all this down here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and then we had wave 4 here, and all of this week we've just been working through this in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down for wave 1, didn't make a new low, so we wanted to call it wave 1 or a more complex wave 4 over here, but we had a nice A, B, C for wave 2 roughly into the 61.8%, and then yesterday we were counting this down and looking for a wave 2, and now we're getting this, so we're certainly moving stronger into wave 3, 4 and 5 moving down. So we're going to be moving down to 100. This is 10,000 as a CFD product, but anyway, we are moving down in the US dollar, so that means stronger commodities and stronger stronger indices all around. Well, in fact, you know, when I was looking at the Vanguard emerging markets here, looking at it as a wave 3 over here with an A, B, C, D and E over here for wave 4, then up for wave 1, and we've had this really deep wave 2 here, but I think that now that China and other countries are communicating, we should see this move up through here now, so that bullish run coming into that space with that weaker US dollar is going to help those push to the upside as such. But before we have a quick look at the sectors, I really just want to have a look at the S&P in this instance here. So one of the things here is that, let me just get this chart into the frame here, and I'll just leave those in here. This is a weekly chart for the SPX, the cash market. So we are ending the end of the week with increased volume. So that's a positive situation. And also that we were also looking at this move up here, we were considering it being bearish. We were also looking at it, well, we'll talk about this further on the other market, on the other charting program, but in a nutshell, we were looking for this particular 4,000 here, which I call a medium level. If this became the support or the resistance, then that would decide for me if we're going to be bullish or bearish. Now, it's not quite on there as support yet, and also from the top to the bottom here, we're looking at, this is the 61.8% at the 4,000 as well, right on that, and now we're trading above that. Now, the 61.8% is not the end of the world, and technically a move up can come to one point within the high up here, but it does sort of like make us think that, because if it was going to fail, the 4,000 and the 61.8% being together there would, you know, certainly put you know, a ceiling in that space. We also noted too from last week and these weeks we were getting decreasing volume through this correction here. and all corrections on lower volume. Now, it's not that this 4,000 has become the support yet, so we need to have a look at that in a little bit of detail, but all I'm pointing out here is that we're above the 61.8%, we're above the 4,000, we don't have it as support yet, and that's what we need, and support would be a retest of that 4,000. A bit like this moving up here, you know, coming back and retesting it, and there's no floor there for it, you know, so it's tried it again and again, and you know, it's trying it again here now. So yeah, so anyway, the week ended up in good volume, and that's a positive, and we should see Monday open up higher, so we're going to see this even move up into the 76 region here, higher to this other little point over here for this. There's also quite a neat trend line that comes through here and tips all of those highs quite nicely together as well. But what I also wanted to have a look about is this well, I want to have a look at this is Vanguard's total world stock market here, and I want to go to the also good volume for the world there, but I want to go to the daily chart here just for a moment, and just want to have a look at this for a moment. So first of all, it hasn't moved up a long way, you know, compared to all of the move that it's moved down here, but what I wanted to do here is just clear this up so it's a bit cleaner, is, you know, I just wanted to have a look at this in terms of this pattern moving up here, because from this low here we can see that we've got wave 1 and 2, and gaps normally occur in third wave, so we've got that nice gap in the third, and so we've got that whole third wave there and a fourth wave, and we could probably look at this as 1 2 3 4 5 up here, or we could extend it further up here. It doesn't really matter, but even from that low there, as minimum of 1 2 3 4 5 here, then we've got this situation over here. That's not 5 waves to that point there, so this would be 1 and 2 in here, or at least 1 and 2 to here. So we've got 1 and 2, we've got overlap here, so 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, but we could also have 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and then building into a third wave. So I've just got it as 2 tops here, to have 2 tops here to go, so we're going to go further up here. That's the point here, right? So the world basically is going higher. If we have a look at value stocks, so the iShares S&P value stocks here, well, we're going to see this, and we'll see this in some of the sectors as well, moving, you know, it has moved really quite high, and it does represent a nice ABC pattern here. So these are the Berkshire Hathaways of the world, and healthcare and industrials and all the rest of it. But in a nutshell, we'll be looking for this as being wave 1 up here, and 2 3 4 5 up here somewhere, and we'll probably need to lift that up from micro to intermediate at least here. So we are looking here, and as you can see here, we're looking from this low here. We could see that we've got 1 and 2 and 3 here, 4 1 2 3 4 5, getting close here, but there's going to be some type of wave 1 and pullback in here, and this is what I needed to talk about with some of the with the sectors and so on. So we're seeing that sort of bullish move up here, that we need that correction here. Now the other one is the low volatility stocks, which is much the same as well in terms of an A wave, a B wave, and 1 2 3 4 5 here. So we're also seeing this move up in 5 waves. So once again, we're going to be looking at this as some sort of 1 2 3 4 5 wave 1 here and 2 here and all of this. So certainly looking on the bullish side, that's my sort of point with everything at this point. I mean, we can look at the notes and things, but you know, they're all falling in line with the, you know, we can just really look at the S&P and the money at this stage. So looking quite bullish, and yeah. So coming back over here, first of all, I want to have a look at what we'll do is we'll have a look at some sectors, and we'll have a look at the three weakest and the 3 strongest, let's say. There might be an extra one in there, I'm not sure, but so the consumer discretionaries with all of these guys in here, are you know, really haven't gotten off the ground yet, have they? Because we're seeing some of the other markets, you know, the health ones and that, they'll be sort of up here, and the industrials and the energy is actually taken out the top here and so on. So these are really lagging here. And what I was sort of thinking, if I can just go back to this chart here, so when this moves up here, for example, and we get some sort of ABC coming back here and then moving up again, this pullback here, this sort of concerns me on some of the really weaker sectors and stocks. So this means that while that's pulling back in some of those sectors, we could see this finish, you know, this needs to finish off here. But when those other markets pull back, we might get a new low in some of these markets and then push up at that point. That's what I'm kind of thinking a little bit. So with some of these stocks, and there's a handful of them, some of them in here that we track, or we really track Tesla and Amazon. There's a couple of others in there. I mean, there's Google, Microsoft, and Apple that are also in the same sort of boat a little bit as well, but they have moved up a bit better. But there's a bunch of them that could make new lows. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. All I can do is track this up here. So in this case here as a B wave, we can look at this as the A wave and the B wave here. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. So once that 5 waves finishes, anything above that, and then I could just turn bullish at that point, you know. So anything above those 5 waves, then we could just go up at that point, you know. So that's what I'm sort of thinking. So this is one of the weaker you know, sectors. So the next sector is the tech sector. So between this high here and this low here, this is the 61.8% and the 65%, and this is the 78.6 square root of 61.8%. Once again, you know, if we look at this here as the A wave, the B wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, then it could be the same here, the A, the B, and we could look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. I could take this as going to go a bit higher up here. So this is another one that could actually, when the other markets pull back, sort of like feel that weakness and have another move down here before moving up again, you know. But at the same time, it could be bullish. I don't know. So all I can do is continue to work this here, and at some point I will have some top in here, and then I can say, well, at this point, anything above that we can go long at. So we'll have to build our longer term case for these weaker sectors on certain numbers as we go higher, you know. And these have you know, as I said, Microsoft and Apple and Google, well, that's in the communication sector, and that's pretty damn weak as well at the moment. So and the finance sector, well, it's a bit of a mixed bunch this, because we've got probably, I mean, I track 3 banks, and the Bank of America is the weakest one out of them, and it hasn't even reached its 50% retracement level moving up here, up this way yet. Morgans have are hitting their 50-60%, and Goldman's have moved up way up here. But it's the same sort of principle applies as well, but slightly different. But we can look at it as an A wave here, then an A, B, C wave up here for this, tracking 5 waves up and then dropping at that point. I don't think that's the case, but it's in my mind, and I just wanted to sort of stay with that. Otherwise, we'll look at this down here as the A wave, the B wave over here, and the C wave here, and look at this as wave 1 up here with the deeper pullback in here, and then move up from that point. But there's no way we don't, you know, this is going to go higher up into 38 or something up into this area here, but and the banks will push higher, but it's not worth us, you know, going into this, because we're only going to, we're in headwinds at the moment, and we can see that the market is, you know, the market was quite strong here, and now it's slowing down a lot. So it's going to slow down further, and then it's going to roll back, and then we'll pick it up at that point when we get the right thing. So we have to let the market, we can't chase it, we'll have to let it come to us. So this is kind of a bit of a stronger one in that sense when we're sort of looking at them all. We don't normally look at this metals and mining. This is normally an Australian one, but anyway, looking very bullish there, but I won't get into that. I'll do that with the Australian video. And the energy sector here, getting a bit toppy, but it's made a top here, so we can look at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 up here. So probably need to put this in here, but I'm just not quite sure about this just yet. But anyway, very sort of bullish on that side. Gas is weak and needs to go lower, natural gas. So whoever's sort of manipulating that's doing a good job. And crude oil is starting to find its feet a little bit as well on the upside. So these are some of the strongest sectors now, or, you know, the strongest. So we're going to call those in for these. So we can look for the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave for this. And then we'll look for 5 waves up here, and we'll look for this pullback in here when it comes, and we'll buy this pullback, and we can move up further at that point and move into that big bullish run at that point. And the healthcare, as we know, is strong as well. So we'll look at this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here, and 1 and 2, probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4 and 5. But, you know, we can wait for that pullback as well. But, you know, as I said before, this is just, you know, if you're going to buy something, buy the strongest, because the leaders always range out further than the following markets. Anyway, just a little brief thing on the sectors there. So the S&P here, we've been looking at it in 2 ways. That we can look at it as the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave. And now that you've had a look at some of the sectors and seen the weaker US dollar and those sort of things, it does give a bullish bias to the S&P. However, it's not over until the big lady sings, and what that means for me has always been is the 4,000 as the support. And the support is a bit of an odd word, because it's like everybody knows what it is as they know what resistance is, but actually what is it at the time of, you know, needing it to be one or the other. So I have a particular way of looking at that, and I need to see things as a tested support. So this is the 4,000 here, the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, coming back and testing that. So coming back and testing that 4,000. We've gone above it, but we haven't gone back and tested it yet. So once it tested, so basically the arrival here, the reaction which we've got the first high above the level. We're looking at 4,100. It looks like we're going to go a bit higher now for that, probably into this one here. But we still need that test back here. Now this test back here, this is what we need to sort of talk about a little bit, because when we're talking about these sectors that have been racing up here and they're going to be topping soon and they're going to be pulling back, well, what does that mean for the S&P? You know, how far are they going to pull back here? What is this count up here? You know, how far can they pull back? And that's what we're going to be talking about today as well. So first of all, I don't have tested support on here just yet, but the market does look bullish. We can see we got weekly volume in there looking quite strong. We've got the trend line coming through here, giving us a bit of grief at the moment. We knew all that, but I just believe there's more work to be done here. There's more upside, but there's more work to be done testing this back again here. Can it still come down here? Possibly, but probable no. But we don't have a very clear impulse wave up here. But yeah, anyway, I think we'll go in and talk about it. We'll look at the bearish side and the bullish side, just to be fair. So first of all, we're going to go to the daily chart, and then we'll go to the intraday chart. So this daily chart here has got basically the 2 counts on them, the bearish and the bullish. And one of the things is, when we're talking about the trading levels, the 4,000 here is the 61.8% from the high to the low here, and now we are above that, and now it is coming back and testing it somewhat here. But what I normally find too is that when we're talking about the 4,000, we're talking about group 1 above and group 2 below. That's the swing range for this, and this is how it's really played out through all of this as well. So really, it's still, the market still belongs to this number. It's only when it gets a tested support on top of group 1 that it will be leaving this number. And we don't have that yet. And we don't have a beautiful 5-wave structure up here either. It's there's a couple of little dog legs in here that you know, that could be counted, you know, in different ways. And I've seen that as folks send in charts. I can see that, you know, people out there are counting them in all different ways. It's the old case of chucking a whole lot of analysts in the room, and there's no way they can all come up with the same answer type of thing, and that's what we're seeing at the moment with all of this. So yeah, so first of all, we don't need that trend line. We know that it's there, and we don't need that, just to let you know about the trading levels. So I'm thinking there's more upside for this, not a lot, but some. So on the outskirts of everything, if we take this low here, and let's just take it to the 4,200, it'll be between this high and this high here, I'd imagine, or the 78.6 in there, but somewhere we should be getting a new high, right? So that means that from that point, this here, if we looked on the bullish side for a moment and just assumed, we'll have a look at this count though, all of this up here was just wave one, a little bit like these guys here really. So this count's a little bit cleaner and so on here, you know, this one and the industrials and so on. So we know that you know, Berkshire Hathaway's like this, and you know, the banks can be like this. So we need this to top, and we need it to pull back. You know, that's kind of it. Now it's a little bit easier to see on these bullish ones, but when it hasn't been so bullish here and overlapping and all the rest of it, it's a little bit more difficult to see. So but I can count it up as 5 waves. So what we'll do is we will put this in as a count. So the market at this stage could come back to this point before going higher. It's also possible from this low here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So it would be also possible to take this low and this, I'll just take it to here and we can adjust it later. It's also possible for the market to come back to its 60, that's a pocket 65 and 62% in there. So it's also possible to come back at that point and then move up here as well at that in this stage. So if it didn't stop, so first of all, this is where they can come back to. So I'm just being logical here and practical, that's all. I'm not trying to say, you know, that's the Elliott count or this or that, but that's, if we're talking a bullish market and we can see those others moving up, well then it's logical, well, it could do the same, you know, and pull back into this space. And, you know, to me that would be, you know, that would be okay, that would be fine at that point, you know. The only way that this would be sort of bullish to me is if this number here, the 4.3, became a tested, if this moved up here and found tested support on this, on the 300 here, then I would cancel the market coming back to any of these positions here. Simple as that. That's my rule. And that's the way it works. So they're the two downsides. These are the two pullback areas here that are quite valid. Now, when a market does pull back into these, what we normally sort of see is we could see this coming back to here as an A and a B and a C wave coming back to, I'll just take it back to both of them here, but it will leave us this ABC pattern for both of these moves here. So that will create the safer long trade at that particular point in time. Now, because we track stocks, we'll be able to get a consensus on what the stocks are doing on an intraday basis. So we'll be able to nail this down a little bit further at this point. But I know from the stocks that we still also have a little further to go up here for this. So yeah, but these are the two pullbacks here. The other point here too, if the market's going to be bearish, then we can look at this as the A wave, the B wave and the C wave top up here. So wherever that tops out up here, the bearish side can bring us back down and have a new low here at that point, because we can look at this as the A, the B and the C wave here, finishing off as 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 up here, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 finishing here. And this could be counted a bit differently. We could have a top just here as well on that, but we're going to look at that in a moment. So that's it really at this point, just generally speaking about this. And now we can go in and have a closer look at this. So the bias is bullish, but we still got this bearish count here that will need to be eliminated, and that can be eliminated with, once this leg here from 4 to 5 here is finished, right, then anything above that, then that would be bullish and will negate that bearish count. But we probably won't be able to flick that bearish count off, because even as a wave B to wave C here, or wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they both finish at the same thing. We'll have to wait for it to pull back to actually, verify that. But that's it in a nutshell. And let's go into the intraday now. So where are we? In the 50k ticks, so 50,000 ticks. So yeah, just looking at that more bearish count here. This could be an A wave here, so an A and a B, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for the C wave here. So we're basically looking for, I'm just going to clean this up, it's probably from leftover. So I'm thinking that we've got, we can look at this, we'll look at this in a bit of detail, but it does appear that we can look at a little bit more of a high coming in here. So we're going to look at that in a bit of detail. So we'll need to probably shift this over to this zone over here for this. It is interesting that the market has come back and tested it here and held and is going to push higher. That actually gives us a buy signal at this point. So when this came up high here, we wait for the retest. We don't chase that up there. We wait for the retest, and then we buy that high. Or if we get a, if this comes down here and gives us a second high type of thing, then we can use this high to go long on, but it certainly didn't give it here. So this concept of this here keeps us safe. Sometimes it doesn't drop down below the level here. This is the most common pattern. The second most common pattern is where it doesn't drop below the level. So this is what we got at the moment for this. So that means it gives the day traders, not the trend traders, the day traders an opportunity to move in here to track that up a little bit higher. And we're going to go and have a bit of a look at that, just checking on things. So I'm not sure where we've got what we've got here for this. I'll just work my way in and we'll just see what we've got here on these intraday charts. So this is one bullish count here, right? So, and this bullish count, I kind of like this one a bit, because this one is wave 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 for 1. So we've got 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for this. So we know we're going to go a little bit higher here, so I don't need to worry about that too much. And we'll talk about this here. That can go onto that side, and that wave 5 could just go to that point there and then fade from there. And then we have our wave 4, and in this case, so we've gone up here. This is the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, the ABC pattern here for this here. If this is going to be the case, there'll be support back over here for this. And if it does move up at this point, for this one anyway, at least, we'll be looking to go long above that. We'll try to get a better position over here for this as well. But that would be this particular pattern. We'll have wave 3, 4, and 5 going up here. So this is not such a silly count, actually. This is this would also come back here for wave 4, but not all the way back. And then we would have this ABC pattern here. This would be the one that that we're just talking about with these guys here, coming back into this space. So that's kind of on the cards a little bit at this point. It probably won't come that deep down, but yeah. So that's quite a good count for this one. Let me just go into the next one here. I think this is the 5 waves up already here. So this is another way to count it up here. So we need to be careful about this. This is the one that can pull back into this place here. So in this case, we're looking at this as 1 and 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So anyway, 1, 2, anyway, 3, an A and a B and a C for 4, and then going up for 5 here, going a little bit higher, of course, up into here somewhere, could go to 41.50, 40, 42, and then pull back into this one. So we just got to be a little bit aware, and it is a little bit tricky, because in this case here, when you get the first high above the level, that's what we're looking for at the moment. We've got to kind of work out what we're going to get within that ABC pattern here, and that's that ABC pattern. So we've still got work to do in nailing this down a bit, on the 5k tick chart. I don't think we've got much here, have we? Okay, this is this one. This is the current. Oh, that's still the old one. Is it still another one? So that's okay, but that's going to be pushing a bit high. Don't have to worry about that. Don't have to worry about that. So let's just go into the intraday and have a bit of a look at this without. So this is kind of interesting, and what I want to do here is just bring in a few things. I just want to talk about this a little bit here. So I'll come back to this chart, but I'll bring up one that's similar. This one's on 1000. This is the futures market here. So this is the S&P futures, and it's 5K tick here, right? So on the futures market, this is pulled back. If I take this here as 1 and 2 and all the way up here for 3, 4, 5, then this has pulled back to the 61.8% here, pretty much. Not spot on, but quite close to it here at 61.8% back at the 4,000. So then it's bounced off that there, and we can wait for that next, because this here is an ABC pattern. That means we can go long above the B wave here. As soon as that's breached these tops here, then it's created a bullish. If this high takes out this top or the top of the B wave here, then it creates this. It confirms this as an ABC pattern, as a corrective pattern. Okay, so it does appear to be impulsive up here. So this will come back. I'll just redo this little pattern here at some stage. Now, I don't know if this is that. I need to double check on this. I don't know if this is going to push up higher here or it's just going to go to here. But either way, it's really testing these highs here. So in one way or another, somewhere along the line, it's going to pull back. Like this move up here has pulled back, right? This move's going to pull back. So it's going to give the short-term traders that second high to go long on, which is normally the B wave or wave 2 in a bear market. So that still stands at this point. But what I want to just talk about here on the futures market is that on the futures, it's pulled down quite deeply, right? On the SPX and the SPY here, so trading, just during the hours, not the off hours, we could look at this here as 1 and 2 from this wave 4 here, by the way, as 1 and 2 here and 3 and 4 here. So in this case, we could look at this being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going up here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and having the top there. And then coming back and having a larger, corrective pattern, probably off the 405 or something, coming back at this point. So we may only have this little move up here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's one thing, but it'll still be 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then over here, it'll be the as 1 and 2 for the futures, and they're trading in the off hour, so they can move along a little bit. So in this case here, just cleaning this up here a bit. So in this case, while this is doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, this one here will do 3, 4, and 5 here, something like this. Do you know what I mean? That will be the difference between the two of them, so to speak. It'll be something like that. Do you know what I mean? So just if you're tracking those two, that will be how it will play out. Okay, so all of that said, so we're not quite there just yet. This particular platform here is a CFD product, so it follows the futures in the off hours and the cash in the in the on hours. Then it's got a thing called fair value, and basically, I mean, CFD providers, they have to sort of create their own market at times as well, which is another whole sort of story. But in a way, we're basically viewing if this top is taken out here, basically that top, then we can consider this a corrective move, and then we can look at this moving up into 3, 4, and 5, something of this nature. But we are looking for that top there. It's either going to be sort of at the 41.50 or the 42. It's on 1,000 ticks. I'll just go to 100 ticks and just drill into that a little bit more and just bring in a bit more data here for that. Just have a closer look at this. This is just when I go into the 100 ticks and 20 ticks and 10 ticks. It's just really sort of my work space. I'll just see if I can see this here. Well, at the beginning it doesn't make it very easy here for that, so it would have to look at this because it made a new low here. It would have to look at this as, we could look at it at the end of that too, truncated fifth wave on that, but probably, yeah, we could do that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and ABC, just not taking that top out. So we could actually start the count from here actually, but we need, because of the way, because that's the low, we need to take that on board. In fact, I'll just have a quick look at the cash market here, just see how that finished off. Yeah, this came down a fair bit deeper, but it didn't really give us those 5 waves. It's just changed that a bit in there. Let's have a closer look at this. Kind of does look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Little bit. It's cutting hairs, you know, to start from here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC, and so on. You know, so it makes it a little bit tricky at that point. So we will use this, and we'll just go 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2, probably the 3rd, 4th, probably the 5th. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So we can use that as 1 and 2, and that's where it finishes at this point. It hasn't, if it takes out this high here on the cash market, right? If it does that, right, then we can make this move down here corrective. That's the truth of the matter. But as it stands at the moment, we can look at that as wave 1. So the 460 is wave 1 here. So the 460 roughly. So we can look at all of that as wave 1 to that point there. So let's just do that. Let's just put this here and here. So that's a count based on the cash market. So let's just see if that climbs higher, higher at this point. I want to have a look at, yeah, so taking these tops out here will confirm that move higher at that point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, somewhere up here, 41.50 sort of thing. So let's just have a look at the other markets quickly. So we've got the NASDAQ here, and the NASDAQ, you know, we had a look at the tech sector, it's not that healthy, but at the same time it could catch up at some point, or it could be so we can look at it from the low here, right? This is the low. We can look at it as wave A and B and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then trying to find the top here for wave 5. So this here is a little bit debatable how we can look at this. We can look at it as wave 4 like we just did, or we can look at it as wave 2 here. Either way, we still need one more sort of little high here. Now where that comes in, and or do I call this 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, or do we call this, you know, this would be wave 1 over here for this, and 2 here, and 3 and 4, and going up for wave 5 at this point. So I don't know if we're going up for 3 or 5, but I know that we need to make a new high here, and I don't know if this is going to be wave C for this as we go an A and a B and a C wave and then make one more new low, or can we go 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here? I don't know, but what will happen is that when that high comes in here, we're going to get some kind of counter trend, and it's this counter trend that's going to give us the opportunity to go long for the longer term at that point, or we'll be going lower. The Russell, it's the same as well with the other ones. So yeah, we should be pushing, we should have one more little high coming in here. We should have something of this nature, slightly different here. So in this case, we can look at it. We've got a very clean, because on this, it finished off nicely here for the Russells and ABC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So finished off nicely where the S&P and that didn't, the S&P had this as the low here. So we had to use that as 1 and 2. But in this case, we can go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So we look at 1 and 2 here for this, and it's taken out the top here. So in this case, we should go 3, 4 and 5 and push a little higher here. Obviously the market's going to be loitering around the 1900, and the other point here is we've got above the 1900, we've got group 1, which is 10, 20 and 30. So that will be where it will basically get stuck at that point and end up pulling back. So don't expect it to, you know, continue to run at that point. It will slow down. And the Dow Jones is in the same boat as well. We can quite clearly see here we've got the A, the B and the C wave here. So in this case, I think it's just this is a CFD platform, so do check the cash market with this. See if this top here has taken out this here. If that is the case, well, it probably won't be on the cash because this is be part of the futures market as well. But still, if the futures have taken this top out here, it's forcing this to be an ABC pattern here. So this will be probably a little impulse wave to the upside. Obviously, the closest largest number here will be the 34,500. That's the number that you need to work with. So if you're going to go long, you really want a classic trading levels pattern on that. You may be able to buy the pullback. If there is a pullback here as an ABC pattern here, then it could be because it looks like a little fourth wave here. If there is a pullback here, then you can look to also go build at that point, but certainly build on top of this number here with a classic trading levels pattern on the 34,500. Use that, and then we'll be pushing up higher. And the next level to the upside, of course, is the 35. The 38 here is going to give you grief. When you talk about 38, you're talking about 34,800. If you're talking about the 800, you'll be talking about group 2. So that will be the 30, where are we? 7. I'll just leave it at the 8. That will be okay. I'll need to go into a smaller time frame. Okay, so it's a long video, so I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, that's my take on it today. Alrighty, cheers.